All right. Good afternoon. And who am I talking with today?
My name's Forrest.
Forrest, that last name, Imel? What is that?
Emil. Yeah,
Emil.
I
Oh, all
always
right.
tell people pronounce it like you don't want to try and pronounce it. So it just kind of
Oh,
rolls off the tongue a little. Emil, like you give up halfway.
very nice. And where would people know you from?
I guess this is a magic podcast. I'm a magic artist, but now I also do YouTube channel. I co-host Distraction Makers on YouTube. I've been featured on YouTube channel Guild Pack, playing games. So yeah, I wear a lot of hats.
And that's where I met you at. I met you through Bells and Mar up at Guild Pack up at the studio, and
Yep.
not knowing about it. He's like, oh, he's a magic artist. Like, oh, that's nice. And there's just kind of didn't think about it. And then I saw your stuff. Like I saw you was it at Vegas or were you Atlanta?
It was Vegas. Yeah, yeah.
Vegas. Yeah, that's right, because I had your box there. But yeah, when I saw your stuff at the booth with Void Monster, which is your storefront, and
Yep.
it was like, oh, this is fantastic. And then I ended up using your deck, it wasn't even a deck, it was your playmat box. It was like a card box that you had printed. I don't even know how you did those, but they're gorgeous. And
Thanks.
but yeah, your artwork's amazing. So it's like, okay, this is fantastic. I want to know more about you. I want to know more about your process, everything. Obviously, more about the store, just everything. I was just one of those, like, I got to get this guy on. So,
For sure. Yeah.
how did you get started with art?
Oh gosh, started with art. That could be a long question, but I'll try to summarize it and keep it short. I always wanted to be an artist since I was in kindergarten. And then I started taking it seriously in middle school when a friend of mine started getting better at me than art. And so out of jealousy and envy, I started taking it more seriously. And what led me down that path is that I was actually playing Magic at the time. And I was drawing Magic the Gathering cards. And I was in the middle of drawing the Borigmos by Todd Lockwood from the original Ravnica set. And I just remember thinking, like, how is this so good? Like, how do you get so good at art? So then I just Googled, how do you get good at art, after looking up Todd Lockwood's work and stuff. And that led me down a whole rabbit hole to discover multiple art communities. It's been growing ever since. Met a lot of people, decided to go the self-taught art route, didn't go to school for it or anything, just because I met enough people online that said you didn't need it. So I just learned a lot from people online that I met, and combination of that with books. With the goal eventually of either doing work for Magic or for Blizzard or both. And now I'm doing work
I was going to
for,
say,
or I've done work
and
for both at this
accomplished.
point. Yeah. Yeah.
It's so funny because so we were up there when I met you. I think it was either Belle's birthday party or something, but we were all over at their house. And you were there, and I think you either left early or something like that. And she just said something to the effect of, like, yeah, I've known him forever. He and I went to school together, and he was telling me back when he was in middle school that I want to draw Magic cards for a living. Like, I want to do this. And I was like, geez, man, have that level of, as a kid, to just be like, this is what I want to do, and I'm going to follow that. And you've got 20 years of experience. You're probably like, are you even 30 yet?
I am. Yeah, I'm 31. So
Okay, you
now
just
I can say
crested the hill.
yeah, yeah, I'm really grateful that I had like a particular vision, at least when I was young, and a drive enough to go and pursue that. I think as I got older, though, and I started achieving those things, I'm like, well, I do love playing Magic. I like the idea of working for Magic as well. Like, I've enjoyed working for it, and I like working for Blizzard and stuff. But like, now that I'm older, I'm starting to get a little bit more of that nuance of what I really enjoy, and it's not just like, oh, I want to be an illustrator forever. I like making things, and in particular like products. That's kind of what led to Void Monster, is rediscovering my love for trading card games. When I now am an adult with disposable income, I was like, wow, now I can start buying cards whenever I want. I can buy boxes of cards if I want, and I can buy playmats and this stuff. And so that's sort of what led me down this path of discovering, like, well, I can take the skills I've acquired by becoming an illustrator in the games industry and like going and making other things now that I want to make, whether it's like my own games or my own products or whatever.
Ooh, there's an angle. Are you thinking about making your own game?
Yeah, I've actually I've hobbied been a hobbyist game designer probably for like maybe 7 years now. I've
Really? All right.
started and stopped making multiple games, but now I finally, this year, I'm going to be kickstarting a game that I've been working on for about a year and a half or so.
Wow.
And I think I can finally work on it. I was going to kickstart it last year, but then Void Monster just ended up taking up most of my attention. So
Yeah, and congrats on the success of that. Your success in Void Monster made me obviously, you and I have talked offline about my store, S Tier Loot, where I was like,
yeah.
it's been nothing but a money suck. And it's just because it's a charity thing. So I was like, oh, this will be easy. We can tie it into the charity. And it's just so hard to get things going. So
Yeah.
when I got your end of the year, like, we've had over 2,000, sales. It's like, holy cow, that's amazing in less than a year. It's just like, okay, well, obviously you have something amazing and your artwork is amazing and your work is amazing. So the work sells itself, but also you've built this small empire in such a short amount of time. It's amazing. So just watching you kind of like me crib, like literally cribbing off of you, like, all right, how are you doing that? What are you doing here? Like, this is, it's so neat to watch it. And it's fun to promote. Like I wanted to have you on here, but this is just a big advertisement for Void Monster. Be like, this stuff is amazing. So,
Thanks.
but, so let's go back to your history a little bit. Cause I'm all
Sure.
over the place because I'm just like, oh, tell me about this and tell me about that.
Yeah.
What was the order of events that led you from cards, like drawing your own cards? Did you have job before you went to Wizards as far as artwork and animation and you were drawing graphics for, emotes for people on Twitch, or what was the order of events that occurred?
Yeah, I mean, at that point in the commercial art industry, there was kind of this really similar trajectory that a lot of artists went on. And I modeled a lot of what I did based off of an artist named Dave Raposa, who's a very good artist that has made a big career for himself. And I was part of a community that him and another artist named Dan Warren sort of created. And I just kind of followed their maps that they laid out, where it's like, well, you start with small tabletop illustrations, small jobs here and there, and you build your way up until you can work for these higher tier clients that are willing to pay a little bit more. And so, yeah, I mostly started with small commissions for $50. I think the earliest commission I ever accepted was like $25 for some creature stock art for a tabletop RPG company. And then eventually sort of started charging a little bit more and a little bit more. And by the time I was out of high school, I think my first year out of high school, I was maybe charging like $75 or something for like an illustration, which I thought was like, oh my gosh, I don't know if people are willing to hire me for that. And it wasn't until I think 2 years out of high school, I was living with my parents, and I had met a good friend of mine named Brandon Leach, who runs his own shop called Motley Miscreations. And at the time, he was the only local artist that I ever met. I saw him on Facebook and saw that he had worked for Wizards and had worked for Zynga and these other companies. And I was like, whoa, I gotta know who this guy is. I don't know anyone else locally that even knows about the games industry, let alone works in it. So I reached out to him, and we just sort of have chatted ever since. And then we kept that going for a couple of years. And when an opportunity came and my work had gotten better, he was working at an outsourced studio called Super Genius, and they needed another artist. And so he recommended me, and that was my first sort of big gig in the industry. I went from doing commissions for $100 to $150 a piece to making, a good wage every month as a contractor for the studio. I think I would get about $2,400 a month or something like that working for them. I can't remember what the hourly rate was, but yeah, it came out to about then. So that was huge for me. It actually felt like I could do this for a living now.
And what year is this when you were in Super Genius?
I want to say 2014 is when I first started working for them.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, literally 21, like right out of high school. Okay,
yeah.
Right on. And how long working at Super Genius before you got the actual move over to? Were there any other clients that, like big clients that we would know of, like in the industry?
Yeah, the stepping stones, I guess, as I like worked kind of my way up the client list, I guess, was I worked for Super Genius, and that gave me tons of opportunities. I got to work with Disney. I did like I like to mention that I did 30 minutes worth of work for Industrial Light and Magic because there was like this really wild, very quick job that needed to be done, and they just had me hop on for like 30 minutes to work on it. So
literally 30 minutes.
Literally 30 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah. So lots of fun jobs like that. Worked for a lot of mobile game companies and stuff around that time as well, and then eventually got to work for Paizo on their tabletop RPG Pathfinder. And that sort of is what then led me to feeling like, okay, I could actually like move out of my parents' house now, and we could maybe have enough money doing that consistently. And then started working for Smite as a MOBA.
No kidding, game. Yeah.
And so I did work for Smite consistently for about 2 years. And they were a great client. They just kept like, without me having to ask, would continuously increase the price for splash images. So I never really felt like I had to go and work for someone else at that time. And then leading up to working for Magic, I think I might have started doing some work for Riot Games prior to Magic. Maybe I started just doing that. But it was around that time. It was about 2019 is when I think I got my first assignment for Magic. So lots of smaller clients up to that point, but Smite was definitely a big one for me.
Now, how did they translate? I also was a contractor back in the day, but for the government with the Intel community. So I understand that, like getting a bunch of cool little jobs, but never really feeling like a part of the team because you're just a hired gun. Yeah. What was the conversation that led you, like when you got your foot in the door at Wizards, where you're like, no, this is where I want to be? How did that transition over?
Wizards always felt like it was obviously like my peak goal. Like I always wanted to work for that, and to the point that I remember getting Magic cards and playing it and telling myself like, okay, I'm not going to buy any more Magic cards until I work for them. And the minute that I work for them, I can go and start playing Magic again. Because I felt like I didn't like deserve it or something. I needed to like set some sort of boundaries for myself. And so leading up to it, as I was getting paid more, I was getting offered more jobs, and I sort of built that confidence up. I started to feel like, okay, maybe I am ready for this. Maybe I can do this. So I actually just reached out to a bunch of Magic artists. I talked to Sarah Winters, I talked to Jason Rainville, and they got back to me and just were nice enough to give my portfolio a review and let me know like various things to improve and work on. And Sarah Winters actually specifically gave me the advice of send 3 images. Just find like, instead of sending a whole portfolio of 10 to 15 images, just find 3 really strong images that are good for Wizards, and just send them that. And so I spent the next several months sort of working on 3 illustrations that I felt were a diverse selection of different options. And it was just practicing things that they told me that I should work on. One was like, they care a lot about being able, artists to being able to illustrate multiple figures interacting with each other in a scene. So I did one illustration that had like tons of figures interacting. It was like these 4 angels that were like lifting up this this knight in a suit of armor and stuff. And so I spent as much time doing that, making sure it was going to be solid. And then my game plan for it was that I would send my portfolio Sunday night, so that Monday morning it was hopefully at the top of the list on their emails for if they happen to be looking for artists for the next wave or whatever. And then on top of that, Monday morning I sort of told everyone on my social media, I was like, hey, I just sent my portfolio out, like wish me luck. And people in the artist community are just always so supportive. So lots of people liked and shared and said good luck and said I deserved it and stuff. So sure enough, after a day or two, I got reached out to by Cynthia Shepard, who was the AD, one of the ADs there at the time, and they offered me some work.
Congratulations. What year is that?
2019.
2019. Okay. What are some of the cards you worked on while you were at Wizards?
Yeah, while I was working for them, it was pretty sporadic. But my first card was Hex Drinker, which I remember finding out, a year and a half later or whatever, after I did the art, that it was Hex Drinker, which is a mythic rare, and was pretty important in the modern format for a little while there. So that was insane for that to be my first card that I did, especially because I don't think I did well at the assignment. But
now I want to look it up. I mean, like,
I think I salvaged it at the end, but I got a lot of feedback on that first assignment. And then the second card that I did was actually Dockside Extortionist, which
another
again,
crazy.
I was like, what the hell? Like, how? Why this? After that, though, I think they probably just stopped liking me, because then I just got nothing but like animals. I don't know why after that I became the animal guy. That's when I got like goat token, bear token. I had to draw a horse that no one remembers. I had to draw 2 dogs. And they're all like, common, uncommon cards or whatever that don't see a lot of play. So that lasted a long time until I think then I got to work on Seedborn Muse, newer art for Seedborn
Oh yeah, I know
Muse.
that one.
And then my last released card before I had to stop working for them, because I work full time for Blizzard, is Spider-Punk. Was probably the biggest one that had some sort of an impact.
Yeah, definitely well known in the of all of the cards that came out for Spider-Man set. That's definitely one of the okay, hey, this is actually a pretty decent card. Yeah, you definitely, for not having a lot of cards, you had some heavy hitters in there.
Yeah,
so
I'm pretty lucky.
Is that the usual? I mean, you started in 2019. When were you working for Blizzard full time?
I started working for Blizzard full time. Oh gosh, I should know the year. This will be my 4th year, so I want to say 2022. That sounds right.
So is that the usual tempo for? You said things slowed down after Hex Drinker, which ironically my brain was getting it confused with the League of Legends weapon Hex Drinker. So I was like, wait a minute, is this a sword? It's an artifact? It's like, no, it's a snake. It's like, oh, okay, that's all right. Not what I was thinking.
Yeah.
But so is that the usual tempo? I mean, that's like 2 cards a year for.
I mean, technically in total, I've done 30 cards.
Okay. So the tokens and those are just the notable ones that you had mentioned.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, basically. I think 31 cards in total. And I mean, yeah, half of those were from like the last year of me working for them, essentially. I had left an outsourced studio job, I think in 2021. And for a year there, I was pretty much just working a lot on Magic cards. I was back to doing Smite illustrations, and I was doing League of Legends splash art. And so I was sort of cycling between those 3 clients primarily. and just did as many Magic cards as I could, really, to try and fill that in, because Magic doesn't pay quite as much as like League splash art, but it also doesn't take as much time. So, but I love Magic, so I just wanted to work on more cards for it if I could.
So the move to Blizzard, what was the conversation there? You weren't like, I wasn't getting enough from Wizards, or obviously you're saying there's better pay through League splash art and things like that. What was the move to Blizzard then?
That was because I was, as much as I think like aspects of being a freelancer and a contractor, I like the independence of it. It's also scary, and
Hmm.
it's nerve wracking when, like, as much as, yes, I'm receiving clients and I'm getting paid enough to where, like, yeah, I could take, a month off and I'd probably be okay. Um, but I really wanted to see what that stability was going to be like, and the only studio that I really ever had interest in was Blizzard, and so I had applied for them a couple of times before. I think I had applied for them 3 times for various positions, and then they actually came to me for this the fourth time, which was initially for an internal project, but shortly after starting there, I got moved over to World of Warcraft. Um,
Oh, congratulations! I didn't know that's where you were
yeah,
at.
yeah, thanks. I've been on the WoW team for yeah, I think about 3.5 years now, something like that. Um, and yeah, I didn't get the memo because I'm so used to freelance and having that independence, and so I was actually still working on Magic cards, not thinking it was a big deal while being there. And then they found out, and that they did not like that I was still doing Magic cards. So I actually technically did some Magic cards as I was at Blizzard, but the minute that they found out, they were like, "No, you can't do that. Like that's against it's against our policy." So had to stop doing that, unfortunately.
I mean, I guess it's the idea of potential art leaking between projects, like something that you have in your head that you're working on, like kind of transforming into something that you use for something else, or what's the reason behind exclusivity with this?
It's just because it's a competitor. I'm investing more of my spare time going and helping a competitor of theirs, because
Oh
not a
yeah, they have.
competitor for World of Warcraft, but Blizzard has Hearthstone. So
There it is.
yeah, I can't
Okay.
can't be working for another card game while there's another card game here. So they were perfectly fine with me. If I wanted to go and do Hearthstone cards, I could do that, and so I did. I did a handful of Hearthstone cards, but eventually just found that I would enjoy being able to make my own stuff more, which then down the road led to Void Monster.
Well, let's get back to your game design thing. We kind of
Sure.
ramped over that. You're building a game out of it. I'm guessing it's a collectible card based thing, or what is it you're doing?
Yeah, I don't feel equipped enough to do a whole trading card game. I also don't know if I have the interest in making a whole trading card game. But yeah, I it's a small family friendly card game. Wanted to make it really approachable, simple for my first game to come out, and then maybe worry about ramping up complexity in future games. But it's like a small drafting game. I've been pitching it as it's kind of like Sushi Go meets Pokemon. So you're catching these cute little spirit animal things, and trying to collect those. And eventually the goal is to go and catch a legendary spirit. So it's almost to the point that I'm going to be printing a proof of it. I'm hoping within the next month or two, and start doing like in-person testing. Most of the testing has been online with the Distraction Makers community, or internally. We have a weekly game night. Me and Gavin, who's on Distraction Makers, and then our friend Tyler, who's been a part of it for pretty much the whole time that we've been there. We get together and play games and test them with each other. So
Well, let's talk a little more Magic. What happy almost Lorwyn release? Are you
yeah.
excited for launch?
I am. Lorwyn, in comparison to a lot of the Universe Beyond stuff, I'm pretty excited for Lorwyn. I feel like I'm a little bummed that there aren't some more interesting like mechanics or interactions with some of the cards. I found a couple that I like. I think there was some cooler stuff in Avatar, but yeah, otherwise I'm more of a fan of Lorwyn for its art and its world, and I'm happy to see another in-universe set.
Yeah, I was going to say those special tier cards, or I forgot what the special artwork cards that they put out for this are gorgeous. It's just
Yeah.
ridiculous. Um, so yeah, what do you? All right, so what do you genuinely like playing as? Are you a commander guy, standard? What are you up
I
to?
think I prefer standard. It's like I, I don't know. I have a lot of different opinions on it. I think I prefer standard because I like the purity, I suppose, of the game. Like that's how the game was intended to be played as. That's how I think how it functions the best is with standard play. Commander has all sorts of these weird game design nuanced issues, but I also understand that Commander's like the only way to really play with other people. And I still think that there's interesting stuff to come out of Commander. There's fun moments that you can have with Commander that you can't have in other formats. But I find that I have to sort of find different reasons for me to get excited for Commander than I do with something like Standard. The type of decks that I have to make are just a lot different in order to keep my interest playing that format.
Do you do a lot of drafting, or do you like for standard? I'm not as well versed in the rest of the formats, but the standard is like kind of draft, like 60 cards, well, 40 cards, but
So there's the standard format, which is 60 card decks constructed of cards from the last 3 years now. Previously, it was 2 years, and then draft is using whatever the latest set is, and yeah, you divide that up. You get 3 packs that essentially cycle around the table of 8 people, and you go and you draft a 40 card deck and you play with that. I love draft. I think it's very very fun. Kind of hit or miss depending on what set you're drafting with. I don't draft a ton. I've only drafted like once in person. I mostly do it on Magic Arena. But whenever I've hopped into Magic Arena and I get that sort of itch that I want to scratch playing draft, I've always enjoyed it.
well, I'll tell you what, I got early access to the MTG Arena Lorwyn stuff last night.
Oh yeah.
And I'm also not a drafter. I like having my 100 card, like, this is my deck. I built it specifically. It does this. I know what I'm doing, as opposed to what do I do with these cards and how does this interact with this? I don't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
I had such a great time last night. It was a lot of fun. I like the set. I like what they're putting together with the different, tribal deck mechanics that they've got going on there. You're right about the different mechanics. It didn't feel like there was a lot going on there. It felt almost more tribal in nature, where it was elves and boggarts and fairies and things like that, versus like the vivid or
Right.
blights or any of that. Like, I didn't really get anything going with any of that, but it was all about like elves and like more tribal stuff. So it was interesting that way.
Yeah, that seems to be. I mean, that's kind of an homage to original Lorwyn block back in the day. The difference is the original Lorwyn block was like 4 sets, and so this all being smushed together in one set, but still trying to have. I think there's 8 different tribal cards, like 8 different types for Lorwyn, which is a lot to fit in one set. And so when you're drafting, the chances of you actually running into just enough elves to make an elf deck or something is probably not super likely. But I do think a lot of Commander players are going to like it, because tribal decks are just really really popular in Commander. It's easy for people to latch onto an idea of wanting to make an elf deck or a fairy deck or something like that.
Absolutely. And that's immediately where my brain went. I'm like, okay, who's my commander in this 40 card deck? And it's like, that's not how this works. But if I brought out my Morkant, it was like, okay, it's on now. Like, this is, and one of the guys I was playing with had an Oko, the Planeswalker card. And it was like, okay, that's there. Like, okay, this is my problem now I got to deal with. So it's funny you were talking about the 8 different races through the Lorwyn thing and drafting. And I'm going to do a video on this specifically because it became startlingly obviously what they did to get around that is the 9th race of changelings. Right. So it's like, it's an entire like 12, 15 cards of just nothing but changelings. And it's like, okay, you'll pull 4 elves or 3 merfolk or whatever. And it's like, okay, this is amplified. And then you just throw a couple changelings in there. And it's like, okay, now I can do a tribal deck. It was really funny how many times I did that last night, where it's like, okay, I don't have enough for anything to do with drafting. But if I throw some changeling in there, suddenly it's a merfolk deck or it's an elf deck, and it kind of worked. So I was kind of, it was an interesting workaround with all the different like races.
Yeah, I'm definitely curious to try drafting Lorwyn. I think I'll probably hop back into Arena, assuming I get some time that opens up here in the next week or two, because I really want to try and draft this, because I never got to draft original Lorwyn block, and I'm curious to see how it works. But I just know that, yeah, the way you end up making a draft deck in comparison to how you make a standard deck or a commander deck is just so different. They just have completely different rules and ways of evaluating like if a card is good or not. That suddenly you have these signpost cards that are usually uncommon. That like uncommon cards are really where it's at, and where you want to end up looking at a lot of those effects to see like how it's going to better serve what deck it is that you're making. And you can't really rely on running into like some good sort of what's called bombs is a rare, or like a mythic rare or something like that. That would just be a really high quality, high value card to suddenly play on the field in draft.
So what kind of decks do you generally like playing Commander?
I mean, I don't know. I don't really have like an archetype. Like, I think when I started out, and I just was getting my foot in the door and kind of figuring out the format, I would go and I'd make tribal decks. So I had, like a dragon deck or a vampire deck or whatever. But now I have to find something that entertains me, which is usually changing how the game plays for other people, but in a way that's hopefully not annoying for other people.
I was going to say, I'm like, ooh, you're that guy, huh? Actually, you know what? That does remind me, because I played against you, and I remember your decks were particularly annoying. I forgot what it is you were doing. But
you can't say annoying. You've got to
well, for me, I forgot what it was. I forgot which commander we were playing against, but it was like Forrest. Like, I just kept the number of times I'd have to look over and be like, can you believe this fucking guy? What are we doing here? Like, man, I forgot. I wish I could remember what deck I was playing against with you.
It was you were playing Ureni, the Tarkir.
Very likely. It was about that time.
I think I was playing Miss Bumbleflower, which is my fog.
Was it really? Okay.
I think so. Yeah, I could have been playing my clones deck too. That's a possibility. But I love playing decks that yeah, just end up changing how other people experience the game, and accepting that it's not good. Like I'm okay with not winning. But if other people are getting this like new puzzle to solve, or they're figuring out what I'm doing, and it's something that's fun or entertaining for the table, that's usually what I'm hoping for. And so like one deck that I'm going to make with Lorwyn is there's the new Maryland Phase Ascendant card.
Oh, I saw that.
And
That's yep.
I really wanted to play a particular deck. This was actually a criticism that Eric had when we were playing on Guild Pack. I think he was commenting on the decks I made, and he's like, "Yeah, people just have to sit there and watch Forrest play his deck, and it's really fun." And so I like went home, and out of spite, I'm like, "Well, I'm going to figure out how to make a deck that's not like that." And so instead, I wanted to make a deck that's like, well, I don't really have a game plan. Then I'm just going to figure out how to win with other people's stuff, not by like necessarily stealing them, but I guess kind of stealing them. So Maryland does that, where essentially you exile the top 2 cards of a target opponent's deck, and then you can play them however you want. So I like the uncertainty. I really don't like when there's a deck that's at the table that someone's gonna like go and tutor for this card and tutor for that card and play this 2 card combo and then like win over the top of
Oh, I
everybody.
hate that.
I don't find that stuff entertaining.
No.
And the other option is you just play a lot of value, you get a lot of mana, you get a lot of card draw, whatever, and then you just play really big creatures and then you win over the top of everybody there. That's fine. It can be entertaining, but I feel like that's so many decks that I don't really like making those types of decks anymore. So instead, leaning into uncertainty and not knowing how I'm going to win, I think is a way of keeping it entertaining for me, and hopefully still entertaining for the table.
Just see the hand of cards, like I don't know either. I don't know what
Yeah.
Let's see where this goes. That's kind of like my Deadpool deck, where it's like if I pull that out, I know I'm not going to win, but boy, I'm going to have a good time while I'm playing, because it just causes such chaos, and it's so much fun to just watch everybody scrambling to deal with me. And I always die first, but it's just enjoyable in a different way.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah,
I think at a certain point you just kind of have to find those things that end up entertaining you once you work through the usual suspects of types of decks.
So one more question. Obviously, art, video games, tabletop games, things like that take up a lot of your time. Do you have any hobbies outside of any of this that you are? I can't imagine that you do, but also, play guitar, instruments, music, anything else?
Yeah, I really don't have a lot of time, but one thing that I have always tried to consistently keep up with when possible is I do jujitsu, Brazilian
There we
jiu-jitsu.
go.
And so I did that back in the day when I was about 17 and maybe 16, something like that. And I did that for a couple of years. And then I think 3 years ago, me and my friend Rodney and my friend Aston ended up kind of all starting up together again. And I, since starting it up, it's always so addicting when I'm there. And I like never want to leave, and I just want to keep going and rolling and practicing and learning more about it. But it's so I have such an like not addictive personality, but I obsess over things. So it's really hard for me to have a hobby that I'm not dedicating lots and lots and lots of time to. And so that's my hobby that I kind of limit myself on, where like I can really just go once a week at the moment, and I just have to be okay with that. But I try to make the most of my time there. So I think I train for, I guess I'm there for about 3 hours usually.
Woo! What the hell?
Yeah.
Well, you definitely make some, definitely don't screw around with it. 3 hours. All right, man.
Yeah.
What belt are you right now?
I'm a blue belt at the moment.
Oh, okay,
wasn't
shit.
quite a blue belt dropout. I got my blue belt, stuck around for another couple months, and then took a long break for about 8 months. But now I've been back for about a month and a half or so. So we'll see. I'm hoping to at least get my purple belt before I stop going.
All right, Forrest. Well, let's start wrapping this up. Where can people find you on the internet?
I don't know. Lots of places. I'm on Twitter or X now. I'm on Blue Sky. I'm on Instagram. I hardly check any of those, and I should do it more because I don't know. I miss a lot of stuff. But now I mostly run Void Monster. So the Void Monster accounts are also on X and Blue Sky and Instagram and all that. And the Void Monster website, we check that pretty much every day. Me and my wife that helps run it. So yeah, you can find me all of those places.
Right on. Well, thank you very much for your time, Forrest, and congratulations on all your success, man. It's exciting to see.
Thanks. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.